Okay. Hi. So I'm still on my vacation, and I'm out on my patio, and I'm looking at some lovely tree-like scenery that I wish I could reliably show you, but um, I just thought of something really deep, and again, I'm gonna test my impromptu skills and see if I can capture it when it's fresh and share it. But I'm just thinking about having childlike faith, having childlike anything really. And I don't know if y'all have noticed, but children really have. It's not just that they're children and they are. We kind of dismiss it, and we kind of dismiss what they do as they're little and they don't know any better and whatever, and they don't know any better, but in this period of their lives, they really do have a unique power like that. It comes across to me like these videos of little kids, which by the way, like, it's one of the most reliably viral things that you can do is just record a child doing stuff. It's not, yes, it is because of their innocence, and yes, it is because that that state, they're cute and all of that stuff, but they do have power. It's power. Like, I'm just sitting here thinking about it, and it's like, we need to really like understand what we're looking at. When a child, any child that's just like super cute and they're just toddling around and they're just going up to strangers, with their hands up, they can't even talk, but that means they want to be picked up, and you pick them up. That whole thing about, like, I don't know if you've seen that meme where it's like, I don't care who you are, I don't care how gangster you are, whatever. The little kid, if a child hands you a telephone, a toy telephone, you better start talking into that telephone and answering the phone. It's like that. It's like, this is the power that God wants us to operate in. And I don't know. I was watching some random thing about going to the hood, and uh, I don't know. It was like a comedy skit, and he was just talking about how he like doesn't get out of the car when he like goes to talk to his friend because he lives in the hood. And then my mind sort of wandered, and because I was thinking, yeah, I would not know what to do when you go to the hood, because there is a special like badge that you get when you have like hood knowledge, and you got the hood etiquette, and you know what you're supposed to do. It's a very special badge, especially if you don't have any indication of ever having been to a hood. So to immediately know how to act there is like, an impressive thing. And, that's the type of stuff that the world, it's knowledge. It's impressive. Uh, and I was just thinking in my mind, like, yeah, I'm going to just have to completely take an L on that one, because I'm not going to know what to do. I'm going to just be like a little kid, like going up to people like, hey, do you live here or whatever? Like, and I was thinking, like, hopefully, like, if I ever found myself in that situation, my sheer naivete might get me through. It's like, because I'm thinking of that baby power, that child power. That's like, it just arrests you, and you're just like, where it should be dangerous and that baby should be like in a whole heap of trouble. It just like there's another funny clip of a little kid, like, and of course whoever was there like recorded it, but it was like this little kid just like was in a bathroom, and I guess lost track of their parents, or the parents sent them in there by themselves or whatever. I mean, he wasn't like super little, but he was small enough that he probably should have had a parent close by. and he had like just opened up someone's stall, or like went into the stall next to him and asked if the guy would wipe him or something. Like, and the guy was like, well, you should probably get your mom or dad to do that, okay? And the kid just kept talking and like explaining the situation, and the guy finally had to be like, okay, close the door, thank you. Like, that's the way that God wants us to operate. And sometimes we do that perfectly, but it's only through like sheer naivete and like just a completely lack of awareness. We do end up doing that sometimes, and it becomes like a really amazing story that you tell people, where you just find out later where you were or what the stakes were or what was happening, and everybody was just freaked out to see you there because they were in the middle of doing something that they knew they weren't, whatever the context was. God knew the context. And then here you come saying something you just had no idea. And you're just like, la la la. And everybody's like, yeah, here, just take it or whatever. And you're just like, oh, praise the Lord, blah, blah, blah. And then there's like a whole thing behind it. I can't tell you how many of those stories I've heard in my Christian life. That is like, it's extraordinary, but it is so, so common. That's what God does all the time. It's really hard for me personally to let go and let God in those situations. Like, my brain, it just overthinks everything and it tries to anticipate things. And so it's really hard for me to find myself in a scenario like that. I just end up like, I can't go through with it. Like, I can't be sent in not knowing what I'm doing. Like, God's got to really do a flim flam on me to work through me because it just is too hard. It's too much for me. So I'm sure I'll get to heaven and find out like it happened somewhere I was able to, but nothing like super immediate that like I could tell a story about. But yeah, I just was thinking about the childlikeness, and like, I think that the main reason I feel like God wants us to be that way is not because he likes to like watch us being a doofus. Maybe that's some of it, but I think mostly it's, this thing is so uh, intense and complex and vast. You don't have a chance at being competent at it as long as you live. The only thing that you can become competent in is becoming like a child and just doing it. And like, you do sort of inadvertently learn things that way, learn huge swaths of knowledge that way you wouldn't otherwise, just like being like tossed into it and experiencing it. Um, but yeah, it's like, listen, God's just like, when I say go, just hold on to this thing as much as you can. Like, that's all he can really communicate to you. He can't give you the deets. He can't. You can't even understand. You can't. So you have to just get skilled in the obedience and the hearing and the obedience. Because, and then once you do that, you can be like James Bond with the God. But how many of us get to that level? I'd love to meet all those people. And they're not all the people that you think. It's going to be housewives. And that's what's amazing about it. It's like, anyone can do this. Anyone can become, can excel at this. Because the things that you need are all things that we possess. We all have a will. We all have, um, a spirit. We all have the, obedience, the ability to be obedient or not. The things that God requires for you to have greatness is something literally every last person has, without skill level, age, race, any of that stuff. So that's why this is a genderless, colorless thing. As long as you have a human soul, you can reach heights. And so becoming like a child, anyone can do, including children. children have a leg up on us. You know what I'm saying? So, which is another amazing thing about God. It's like everything is balanced to where like no man can boast. It's like anyone can excel and also no one can boast. It's just this really fantastic thing because it's like, yeah, children have a leg up on you in the respect of faith, but like not in anything else. So they need your help and you need their help. And the women need men's help and men need women's help. And, you know, all different races, like I don't know if we want to have a race conversation right now, but it's crazy to me how I don't know how many people understand, like, you do understand that we're all different races and we're all like different, like legitimately different. And it's not so much like I'm just really disappointed in the language surrounding it. I understand that we're all trying to say the same thing. You know, anyone that's not racist wants everybody to understand it the same way. But it's like, you do know, like, it's not about seeing beyond race. Like, that's like going to the supermarket and having to tell someone, like, yeah, it's all fruit, strawberries and oranges. And it's like, did you not know that? Like, look beyond the skin of the orange and the apple and realize that it's all fruit. It's like, bro, like, I guess that's okay, but it's like, can we zoom out more than that? It's like, dude, we're here to eat. And you're talking about, it's like, I don't know. It's just like seeing beyond race. We're all humans. Now let's think about, like, what could it possibly, what does it possibly serve that we're all different? Because God made this thing, like, we all need each other. Like, I don't know. It's really funny to me. It's just very obvious that we all have all the races. And you can talk about what the process is and how that got created. But it was always going to happen where groups of people were going to, families, clans, whatever, take out the physical characteristics or leave them in, whatever. Everybody is going to get a different piece of information. You live in the mountains. You live in where it's super cold. You live where it's super hot. Just the locations. Like, and by the way, if that was the only thing different about us, that's what we would be discriminating against each other about. Like, it's just because it's not about the outward. It's not about what's physically presented. It's about our hearts. And if we literally all look the same, we'd be like, oh, those are mountain people over there. Those are the winter people over there. Those are the dusty people there. Like, that's what we would be doing because something is wrong with us. It's not about, if you just didn't look as different as you do, like, we would have no, we wouldn't. It would be something else. So I hope that's clear. And so when someone does that, that's on them. Like, I think I was thinking about this the other day about this whole hullabaloo about systemic racism. And it's like, there's literally no such thing as that, just by virtue of the fact that humans don't do anything consistently because we are imperfect. We can't even consistent, right? We're not even good at, we don't even have the perfection enough to do anything to a T. So there is no systemic anything. We'll do racism until we don't want to do it anymore, and then we'll stop doing it. We can't even consistently be racist when it comes to like sex partners. Like, what are we talking about? How can you have a whole fundamentally racist, systemically? No, nothing is just pumping out results like that. It's just all types of stuff. And the time you get something consistent is because one thing happened. Like, as soon as whoever has the food, as soon as everyone's hungry, racism is over. Racism is stopped. As soon as there's abundance, then we can be consistent about it. Like, I don't know. I feel like I've talked about this before. Maybe I haven't. Maybe I did to someone else. I don't know. But I can't claim complete and total like revelatoriness on that wisdom. That's half of that is from stuff that I've read. But um, let's just say Thomas Sowell is a gift from God, and when he put and what's crazy is like it's not like he's saying anything different. It's just like it's just when something is pointed out to you. It's so fantastic when something is pointed out to you because it's like you already know it, but you don't. But you're not. Uh, you have to be able to classify everything to know what you're looking at. And once somebody gives you that singular pair of glasses to classify, and then you can do the rest yourself because you're like, oh my gosh, that's what it is. So as soon as he pointed out, like when he looked at statistics, and it was like, yeah, racism went away anytime there was scarcity, and then it came back when there wasn't. It's like, oh my god, that's so obvious, dude. That's so obvious. When we can afford to be racist, we are. When we can't afford it, we're not. Like that's all it is, bro. It's just human strikes again, man. Human strikes again. So anyways, but what is the point of it? What is the point of us all being different, and what is the point of us all looking different, and what's the point of us having super opposite traits and all this stuff? It's like, dude, if you've ever played a video game, you understand like what's going on here. Like, it's just exactly like the video game. That's one of those things that's like we're not any different from God. God is exactly like how like we are. We're exactly like him. Because it's literally a video game. What? Yeah, so anyway, yeah, the video game is one of those times where it shows there's a clear um there's a clear uh family resemblance when we make something, when we create something. It's like, how much more would God do something like this? Now, granted, they make games. Yes, they make games for money to get you to play, but we all know that the more thought goes into a game, the more passion and the more expertise and the more um, input from various different sources. People who care about the technical side, people who care about the story side, the emotional side. All of that goes into making a game that goes down in history as one of the best games ever, and it's very enriching and whatever. And that's true of any media that we make, any art that we make. But since we're talking about games in particular, part of the reason why that happens is because the closer you can get to God's brilliance, the better your thing is going to be. And all of those things go into making something great. And you're just now touching the hem of his garment of greatness, because this is what he does. What you're attempting to do in a game, creating an entire world, is what he's already done and is doing and has done every single day. And if you can get anywhere close to that, you're doing something amazing, and it's a human achievement, right? Okay, so you make this game. Well, how many type of characters do you have? Well, the more the better. But how many characters can the game take before it, can't sustain all of that amount of, I don't know, gigabytes or whatever how much goes into a game. I mean, you pretty much are going to hover around like, I don't know, 10 to 15 characters.
Well, you're right.
Maybe it's more like 15. See? Sorry, I'm having technical whatevers. Getting interrupted yet again. I'm trying to make a video, but so yeah, let's say there's how many characters are in real life? A lot. But for a video game, you've got what? 15. Let's say 15 to 20. Okay. All right. So anyways, what was I talking about? I was talking about video game characters. Okay. So you've got video game characters.
I always did this at school. I changed the background.
Okay. I'm busy, girl. I'm trying to make this video. So you've got 15 game characters, and I don't know if you've ever played video games, but typically you're going to have your wizard, you're going to have your sometimes there's like a variation. There's like maybe 4 magic characters, 4 physical characters, 4 characters that use weapons, like, and they're super fast. Okay, so the point is, what variety of player do you want to use? You can't just have one guy. I mean, I'm sure you could just have one guy and he just has a stick or whatever. That game's going to get boring really fast. You want to, usually you have something that is your default, something that you like to play with. You have the warrior character because you want to like be up close, or you want to like do hand-to-hand combat, or you want to be the super strong guy. But then you play him, then you're like, well, maybe I'm going to do the super quick guy who's like skinny, or the guy that can sneak around, the assassin guy. So you can have multiple, because every time you play a different person, you have a different experience. I'm assuming, I mean, now that I think about it, I think that's getting kind of deep now. I didn't even mean to do that when I said that. But just like in a game where you have all of these different characters, they don't all have the same strengths. They have different strengths and weaknesses. And they're supposed to. They're not supposed to come together into this like glob in the middle where they're all the same average. Like, we keep trying to do this with humanity, which is like the dumbest thing. Or I don't know who keeps trying to do it, but somebody thinks this is a good idea, that we all like come to the middle. Now, yeah, let's come to the middle where when we have to do public place things, where we're all going to the stadium or the airport or the DMV. Let's all learn a common language. Let's all have a common behavior. Let's all decide what we're going to do there. But, and that's for a common civility. Okay, I get that. Yes, that's called civilization. But as far as us, let's all learn the same things. Let's all be the same way. Let's all watch the same TV shows, and let's all see ourselves on the TV shows. Like, you cannot represent every single last human on a TV show. And if we say, well, let's just pick 5, that's not racist. That's not limiting. Like, I know you want to think like, oh, we can tell stories forever. We have a limited amount of creativity. It's like, yeah, but some of it's trash. If you can't pull this is a business. We're not out here. This isn't like heaven. We're not out here just making whatever. Like that is where the scarcity comes in, because not everybody is super uber talented. So there's some stuff that's not going to get made. Like that. Okay, so I just kind of got off on the tangent, but not really, because people need to understand the difference between these things, so they're not upset about things that don't need to be upsetting. So, and then even diversity is limited. It's like you got to understand. He's fine. You have to understand like why you can't put a leash on diversity, and you can't make everybody love it either. And it's not everyone's job to love it. And I mean, that's part of the crayons in the crayon box. Like yellow and blue make green. So, yellow, if everyone liked green, if every yellow embraced blue, then we would have no yellow or blue. Does that make any sense? I kind of just like pulled that out of my hat, but it's just kind of comes from something I say because I have like my husband is white and I have mixed kids, and it's just like we don't need everybody to do what I did. We don't need everybody to have like that is for a certain type of people. And I'm not saying we need everyone to hate each other so that we can keep having, but it's like there's a place for mixing. There's a place for just having white people. There's a place for having just Asian culture, and it never did. It's like there's plenty. We need the people who say no. I'm sticking to my folk. We need those people to say doing their thing, so that that place that can be preserved. We also need people who can see beyond that, so that other things can be made. We need it all. We need it all. Like I don't understand why. And there's plenty of us. We don't all need to adhere to something. Like it's just like don't let people who are trying to sell you something get you all in a tizzy in your mind about diversity. Understand like what God is doing here. And the reason why I was like, okay, this is getting a little deep is because like it could be that, it's like I understand why game developers make different types of people. It's so that the game doesn't get boring. And that there's a game element to the game, so that you have a player that has a different set of strengths than you. You can't give one player all of the strengths. That's boring. It's boring. So you give one player like all of these strengths, you give another player another strength. So they have to work together in order to get the bonus of different types of strengths. Like it's literally what God is doing. And we know how to do it. We do it, that's proof that we already know we understand this concept. But what made it deep for me is like, okay, is that because God is experiencing life through all of us? And so he's just like, the diversity is over the top because he's just like, so he's like never bored, and he's always, there's always these different strengths and different weaknesses that are being put together through all of us. But I just got a little deep in my brain. I was like, whoa. And, the game thing, I don't know if that's the right word for it, but I mean, we all understand what a game is. There is a game element to everything in life, um, that makes it, fun, or makes it worthwhile, or makes it something you want to do. Um, there's a game element to building. There's a game element to, baking, keeping house, and gardening, and bird watching, and all of these different things that we do. Um, so I don't know. I was just thinking about that. But yeah, the other thing that I just want to, this is pretty brief because I literally have nothing else to say about it except for that it blew my mind. So like I was listening to Psalms last night, and I don't know if you've ever heard something in the Bible that you didn't know was there, or you just you've read it, but somehow that you've never read it or something. But it got to that verse that was like, uh, I own a cattle on 1,000 hills, and it's just God like in his bag, and he's just talking about how he's owns everything, and he knows about everything, and he's it's I own the creation and the fullness thereof, or whatever it says. Then he says, bro, he said, if I was hungry, if I was, I'm trying to make it more profound than it is, but he just literally just said, if I were hungry, I wouldn't tell you. And it was like King James version. So it was like, uh, if I were hungry, I wouldn't tell thee, or something like that. And I like sat up. I was like, bro, what? What? And I literally had to rewind it because I was like, dude, that is the most savage, gangsterous, like rap lyric I've ever heard in my life. Like, God is like, if I ever got hungry, which I don't, but if I did, I wouldn't bother you about it. Like, what? Like, it was just like, oh my God, dude, he really said that to somebody. Like, oh my gosh. That is the most savage thing I've ever heard. It's like one of those, it's one that's like my favorite type of rap lyric, which is just like this. I love like the simple, humble brag, simple, it's like Vanilla Ice where he's like, will it ever stop, yo? I don't know. It just sticks in your brain. It's like, it's a humble brag. It's like, it's not, will I ever stop? No, I'm never going to stop ever. It's not that. I mean, we do like just a plain, straight out brag too. Those are nice too. But it's like, will I ever stop? I don't know. I literally don't know. I might not, never. I like that. Oh, one of my favorite, a quote that I had on my whatever. I think I probably still have it up somewhere. But it's a BC Boys quote, and it says, "Believe when I say I'm no better than you, except when I rap. So I guess it ain't true." Like stuff like that. God literally said, if I was hungry, I wouldn't tell you. Like, bro, he said that like thousands of years ago. That blew my mind. I was like, there's no way I just heard him say that. There's no way that he just said that. It was so like it just shut everybody down. Like, and you know why? It's not like, oh, God's ahead of his time. It's like when you're God, when you're really a boss, you're not like a boss, you are a boss. You have to say things like this. And so all of rap is trying to mimic a posture that God naturally has. He's like, the stars line up in front of me in a row. Like, what? I didn't even know they could do that. He's like, he's not like, yeah, you didn't even know they could do that. He's just like, listen, let me tell you something that you don't know is happening while you're down there complaining. Literally, I could get the stars to line up in a row right now and report to me. It's like, is it bragging if it's true? Like every once in a while, and it's just the right amount too. It's like 11% of just this like sick brag, like, I am God, bro. If I was hungry, I wouldn't tell you. I I was just dumbfounded. I couldn't even do anything. I was just like, okay. It was just like one of the best lines I've ever heard. Movie, rap song, anything, period. And it's just in the middle of Psalms, sitting there for thousands and thousands and thousands of years before any of the media that you could ever think of was made. It just is like, no one makes that up. That is God talking. You can't make it up. You wouldn't make it up. You wouldn't say it. Because we like, oh, everything's hunky-dory and everything's the same. And this is just a journey. And you talk to the gods and they're like, I don't know. Did you? What's up to you? That's what we like. We like the gods having drama among themselves and making fire by accident because this son, the son of this god, married his auntie, and then she got mad because she, it's whatever. Like that's the kind of crap we make up. Even though I think that there is some element of maybe not, maybe it's not true, but like I'm sure somebody told, I don't know, I'm sure it's based on some stuff that happened, but like in the spirit realm is what I mean, or among stuff. But anyways, that's the type of stuff that we like. We don't like, no, I'm God, there's no one besides me, there's no one else, don't even put somebody next to me. We don't do stuff like that. Like that, well, that would interrupt our what we're doing, what we got going on. So yeah, that's great. That's great. And yeah, that I could go into another thing that I was going to say, but I'll just leave that for another video since I'm already over. So that's all. Y'all have a blessed day. Bye.